Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. So today we are tackling a topic that you specifically requested.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're diving deep into the 51st hexagram of the
Mm.
Yi Jing Zhen, meaning the arousing or shock.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some excerpts that you sent over that I am really excited to unpack.
Awesome.
Yeah. So this hexagram, it's all about navigating change, unexpected change, and upheaval.
Yeah.
And it's depicted by a really powerful image.
Okay.
Two trigrams of thunder, one on top of the other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Oh, I think it's visually striking.
Yeah.
To me, it kind of represents this like sudden burst of energy, that just shakes everything up.
Yeah. Yeah. That doubling of the thunder trigram is fascinating, isn't it?
Right.
It conveys this incredible sense of intense motion and activity.
Yes.
Like a sudden burst of energy that shakes things up.
Yeah.
And, the source you sent over
Yeah.
actually uses the phrase resilience in the face of surprise.
Yep.
And I think that really captures the essence of Zen.
Oh, interesting.
It's about how we respond when the unexpected happens and how we can find strength and even opportunity amidst those disruptions.
Like the universe just hit the fast forward button on your life,
Ah,
And the excerpts you sent over also talk about this analogy of a golden bell being struck. And they use that as a way to explain the impact of change.
okay.
And it really captured my attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
It's such a potent image, right?
Yes.
That single resonant sound of the bell signifying a shift, a turning point, almost like fate stepping in and saying, okay, things are about to change.
Okay.
And, this connects to something else mentioned in the text.
Okay.
This idea of effortless success in business and partnerships.
Interesting.
It's as if when we're in sync with this energy of change, things can fall into place more naturally.
So for someone who's maybe feeling stuck in their career or relationships, it's like, what would that mean? Like, are they waiting for that golden bell moment?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it suggests that rather than waiting passively for change to happen,
Yeah.
Zen encourages us to be proactive.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the potential for change that's already present and finding ways to align ourselves with it.
Okay.
Maybe that means taking a leap of faith, stepping outside of our comfort zones,
Oh, yeah.
or being open to new possibilities that we might not have considered before.
I like that.
Yeah.
Not just sitting around and waiting, but actively leaning into the change.
Exactly.
Now, there's another part of Zen that I found really intriguing.
Yeah.
And it has to do with this idea of seeking fame.
Okay.
But it's not fame in the traditional sense. The excerpt suggests that it's more about satisfying your intentions and finding your voice.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you make of that?
It's an interesting concept, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think it speaks to a deeper level of self-discovery. Maybe fame in this context represents finding clarity in your purpose, becoming more fully yourself and expressing that authentic self in the world.
So it's not about outward recognition or accolades, but more about that internal sense of knowing who you are and what you're meant to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that connects to another interesting part of the hexagram, the idea that a lost person naturally makes a sound.
Oh, wow.
I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that? What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
Well, it makes me think about how sometimes it's when we're feeling lost or uncertain that we're actually the most driven to find our way. We might not even realize we're searching, but we start putting out feelers, making connections, and eventually we find our voice or our path, like we're sending out a signal hoping to be found.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like the disruption itself, the feeling of being lost, forces us to make a sound, to reach out and find our way back to ourselves. And maybe that's part of the arousing aspect of Zen.
Okay.
It's about being shaken out of complacency and propelled towards a deeper understanding of who we are.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Now, if we delve into the greater image of this double thunder,
Okay.
the text describes it as having this widespread impact,
Okay.
like a sound traveling 1,000 miles.
Oh.
So it's not just a personal experience of change, but something that can ripple outwards and affect others.
Precisely.
Oh, wow.
It suggests that the changes we go through can have a much broader reach than we might initially realize. Our actions, our choices, the way we navigate these periods of upheaval, it can all have a ripple effect on the people around us, our communities, even the world at large.
Wow, so it's like this chain reaction.
Yeah.
But then there's this interesting paradox, right?
Okay.
The excerpt you shared talks about this outward prosperity, but then it hints at inner turmoil.
Mm.
kind of like a storm brewing beneath a calm surface. What are your thoughts on that?
That duality is really fascinating, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think it reminds us to look beyond the surface.
Okay.
To be mindful of the complexities that might be hidden beneath outward appearances.
Yeah.
We can't always judge a situation solely by what we see.
Right. So how do you think this idea of outward prosperity masking inner turmoil might show up in someone's life?
Well, think about someone who might seem to have it all together. A successful career, loving family, maybe even material wealth.
Yeah.
But beneath the surface, they could be struggling with anxiety, self-doubt, or a sense of unfulfillment. Or it could even apply to larger societal issues. A country might seem prosperous and stable on the outside, but beneath the surface, there could be deep-rooted social or economic problems simmering. It's a reminder to be aware of the nuances, the complexities, and to not just take things at face value.
That's a really important point. It makes me wonder, have there been any times in your life when you've experienced that disconnect between outward appearances and inner reality? Or maybe observed it in others?
You know, that's a question that really resonates with me.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in appearances, both in our own lives and when we're looking at the world around us.
Yeah.
But Zen seems to be encouraging us to look deeper, to acknowledge those complexities.
Yeah.
Now, even though this hexagram is generally about navigating positive change, the excerpts you sent also mentioned some warnings sprinkled throughout. What did you make of those?
It's true. Zen doesn't shy away from the challenges.
Right.
That can accompany change.
Okay.
There are cautions about potential conflicts in love.
Yeah.
Health issues related to the liver and nervous system, and even a tendency for things to get lost.
Interesting.
But what's interesting to me is that even in those warnings, there's an underlying message of resilience.
What do you mean by that?
We'll take the health warnings, for example.
Okay.
They point to the need for calmness and stress management, which are essential for navigating any kind of upheaval, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
And even the advice about lost items, while seemingly mundane, suggests a strategic approach to searching. The hexagram actually recommends looking near sound-producing devices.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so specific.
It is.
But I can see how it could be helpful.
Yeah.
It's like Zen is saying, pay attention to the details, even in the midst of chaos.
Yeah.
And you might just find what you're looking for.
Exactly.
And then there's the guidance on legal matters, which emphasizes controlling one's temper.
Yeah.
And seeking peaceful resolution.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I see that as another example of Zen's overarching theme of resilience. It's about responding to challenging situations with composure and thoughtfulness, rather than reacting impulsively. It's like the Yi Jing is saying, hey, things might get stormy, but stay calm, think things through, and you'll be better equipped to handle whatever comes your way.
Right.
Now, diving into some of the specific hexagram lines can give us even more nuanced insights, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was particularly drawn to line 1.
Okay.
Which talks about this fascinating contrast of fear and laughter. Even in the midst of shock, it says essential things like a sacrificial spoon and chalice aren't lost.
Right.
What do you think that symbolizes?
I think it speaks to the importance of holding on to our core values, even when we're shaken by external events.
Okay.
It's like saying, okay, the world might be changing, things might even be falling apart around me, but what truly matters, my essential self remains intact.
That's a really powerful way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's about finding that inner strength and stability, even amidst chaos.
Exactly.
Then there's line 2, which has this striking image of losing treasures.
Okay.
And then climbing 9 hills to recover them.
Yeah.
It's quite a journey. What do you make of that?
That line is all about enduring hardship and loss.
Okay.
But with the promise of eventual recovery.
Okay.
It specifically mentions getting those treasures back after 7 days.
Wow.
It's a reminder that even when we feel like we've lost everything, there's always hope for a comeback if we persevere. We might have to climb some mountains, face some challenges, but ultimately we can regain what was lost.
And I think that message of resilience is so important, especially in times of upheaval.
It is.
It's easy to get discouraged and give up.
Right.
But this line reminds us that there's always hope.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump to the top line. Line 6.
Okay.
Which is often seen as a culmination of the hexagram's wisdom.
Right.
It talks about shock bringing ruin, which sounds pretty intense.
Yeah.
But then it also suggests that misfortune can be avoided.
Okay.
If the shock hasn't directly hit you yet.
Right.
What do you think that means?
That's where the I Ching gets really insightful. It's highlighting the importance of awareness and proactive action.
Okay.
Sometimes observing the challenges faced by others can prepare us for our own.
Right.
It's almost like saying, learn from the mistakes and struggles of those around you so you can avoid making the same ones.
It's like getting a heads up from the universe. Pay attention to what's happening around you, and maybe you can navigate your own challenges more effectively.
Exactly.
And there's that final note in line 6 about comrades having something to talk about. What do you make of that?
I think that speaks to the importance of seeking support and sharing wisdom in times of upheaval.
Okay.
It's a reminder that we don't have to go through difficult experiences alone.
Right.
There's strength in community and shared understanding.
Right.
Reaching out to others, talking about our experiences and learning from each other can help us make sense of the chaos and find our way through it.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not about isolating ourselves when things get tough.
Right.
But leaning on each other and finding strength in those connections.
Exactly.
So if we zoom out and look at Zen as a whole,
Yeah.
it seems like it's a guide to navigating change, embracing resilience, and maybe even finding opportunity within disruption.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that change is inevitable and often necessary for growth. And while it can be unsettling, it also has the potential to bring about positive transformation.
Okay.
Zen encourages us to face those challenges with courage, to find our voice, to hold on to our values, and to remember that we're not alone in this journey.
I'm so glad we took this deep dive into Zen. It's given me a whole new perspective on how to approach the inevitable ups and downs of life.
Yeah.
It's really amazing how much wisdom is packed into these ancient texts.
It is.
And the beauty of it is that it's still so relevant today.
It is.
Zen's message about navigating change and finding strength within ourselves is something we can all benefit from, no matter what challenges we're facing.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm curious, is there anything that particularly resonated with you from this deep dive? Anything that you might want to apply in your own life?
So many things resonated with me.
Yeah.
But I think what really stuck out is that idea of the golden bell.
Okay.
That signal for change.
Right.
It makes me think about all those times in life when you feel like you're stuck. But maybe it's actually an opportunity for something new.
Yeah.
It's almost like permission to take that leap of faith.
That's a great takeaway. And it ties in beautifully with Zen's message of being proactive and aligning ourselves with the forces of change.
Right.
It's not always easy to recognize those moments.
Right.
But when we do,
Yeah.
it can be incredibly empowering.
Absolutely. It makes me wonder,
Yeah.
have you had any golden bell moments in your own life?
You know, I have.
Yeah.
And thinking back on those moments now, I can see how they each led to periods of significant growth and transformation, even though they were often accompanied by uncertainty and even a bit of fear.
It's like that saying, life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
Right.
Sometimes we need that push,
Yeah.
that shock to the system to help us break out of our routines and discover new possibilities.
Exactly. And Zen reminds us that those moments of disruption,
Yeah.
even though they might feel unsettling at first,
Yeah.
can ultimately lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our purpose.
I love that. So before we wrap up this deep dive into Zen,
Okay.
is there any final thought or question you'd like to leave our listener with? Something that might spark further reflection?
You know, given that Zen highlights the duality of outward appearances and inner reality, I think it would be interesting for our listener to consider, where in your life might that be playing out right now? Are there situations where what you see on the surface might not tell the whole story?
Right.
And how can you apply Zen's wisdom about resilience and self-discovery to navigate those complexities?
That's such a great question to ponder.
It encourages us to look deeper, to question our assumptions, and to approach situations with more awareness and empathy.
Right.
Well, on that note, a huge thank you to you for requesting this deep dive into Zen.
My pleasure.
We had so much fun exploring this with you.
Me too.
And for all our listeners out there, keep those knowledge requests coming. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a topic you choose.
Awesome.
Until then, stay curious.